Lecture 8 of How to Trade Forex. And in this lecture we're going to look again at two subjects which both add to your trading knowledge by having you understand some of the terms involved. Firstly, we're going to look at this term pip, understand what a pip is, which we need to know at least in general terms. The second part of the lecture will cover trade volume, which is about how big or small the trades are that you're placing. It's obviously extremely important not to place trades that are too big, but also to place trades but that are large enough to make them worthwhile. It's time to actually break out of the basics and to begin to move forward, developing on the skills that you've now got. So what is a pip? Well, I love pips, of course. My life revolves around them. But it actually stands, it's an acronym, and it stands for Price Index Point. And most exchange rates are quoted to 4 decimal places. And a pip is just the change in the 4th decimal place. So when you see an exchange rate and it's got 4 decimal places running along it, a pip is just that 4th decimal place. And that's exactly what we're looking at. Really, once you actually know that, you can almost put it to one side and not worry about it too much. As long as you understand that the amount that you're trading will win or lose, will gain or loss in intervals of single pips, then that's really as much as you need to know. And here's an example. It's the pound dollar, of course, and it's currently trading at 1.6641. So that's actually the exchange rate. And we can see the red arrows here pointing to 1.6641. And if you go to the upper left of the screen where we have the prices quoted, you'll see it again, and it's the sell price, 1.6641. So that is where we're going to start moving from to show what a pip is. In this example, the price has now moved down to 1.66318. There's the new price shown there, and of course it's also here with the arrow pointing to it. So the question is, how many pips has the price moved down by? And the answer is, it's fallen from the 4th decimal point being 4, and we do take into account the next decimal point, so that's 41, so 41.0 to 31.8. So that's a change of 9.2 pips. So hopefully you've got that now. We've gone from 410 to 31.8, and that's a difference of 9.2, which is the number of pips that we're involved in. You might need to go back over that again, but don't spend too much time on it because it's not that important as long as you realise that's the intervals we're dealing with. The significance of pips becomes clear when it's realised that changes in the pip value directly affect our trades. They directly affect the amount that we're up by or down by. In terms of pips, the price fell, in the example that we used, from 41.0 to 31.8, or 9.2 pips. And if this had been a buy trade, we would just have lost 9.2 pips. If it had been a sell trade, we would have gained 9.2 pips. Now, if you were trading at, say, £1 or $1 per pip, then you would have gained or lost £9.2 or 9.2 pips. In the buy trade, which was entered in the last video, the buy price was 1.66619, and it was closed at 1.6639. And the difference in that occasion was, and you take the 4th decimal place, 0.0002, and we take into account the 5th decimal place as being part of a pip, so 2.7. However, we've got to take into account the spread. 2 pips needs to be taken into account, and therefore, although the profit or loss was 2.7 pips, by the time we take off 2, then the gain, if we were making a gain, is 0.7. As the volume of that trade was 1.5, we can multiply it by 1.5 times 0.7 to get the profit of £1.05. And that's the profit that would show in the amount on your trading screen. So you may have made 2.7 pips of profit, but by the time you take into account the spread, that comes down to 0.7. Thankfully, it's the same whatever the gain is. So if we'd made a gain of 100 pips, then we'd actually be looking at a value of 98 pips as far as the profit was concerned. So for the larger trades, the spread becomes less significant. So let's have a look at trading volumes. And here's just a quick joke for you. All this internet trading has caused you to neglect the children. What children? Well, hopefully it doesn't get like that. With the techniques and tools that I'm showing you, you don't have to spend hours and hours in front of the screen. So hopefully that won't apply to us, unless you actually want to do that. So more on volume. And by volume, in the sense being used here, we're referring to the size of the trade. In spread betting, and also in our CFDs, contract for difference, this is particularly easy, as a volume of 1 is just a single unit of the currency being used on the trading platform. So a volume 1 trade, therefore, is £1. And if you put that trade on as a 1, and the price moves in your favour, you'll gain £1 per pip. If it goes against you, you would lose £1 per pip. Hence, when we placed a trade or bet in the last demonstration, with a volume of 1.5, we were betting £1.50 per 1 pip of exchange rate movement, that the exchange rate would fall. Also, when we placed a buy trade or bet in that demonstration with a volume of 1.5, we were betting £1.50 per 1 pip of exchange rate movement, that the exchange rate would rise. The video I'm referring to here is actually in the Module 1 last video, so if you need to go back and review that, that's where it is. Volume can also be a reference to the total amount of trading going on at any one time. So that's the collective trading volumes of everybody in the market, including us if we're in there, as this short video will show. Volume in terms of the total amount being traded at any one time can also be important, and we can show this on our trading screen. Simply right-hand click to go to Properties, and one of the choices on the Common tab should be to show volumes, and there it is. Left-hand click to tick it and press OK. We can then, if we wish, change the colour of that, again in Properties, but this time in Colours, and here it is, Volumes. So any colour we like, and I think a fairly dark one, such as dark green. And there it is. And this will show across all of the different time scales. So here we are in a month, and in a week, and right down to a minute as how much trading is going on. Now later this will become important, as the amount of trade that's going on at any one time can affect the price and can also affect the spreads. I generally don't leave the volume bars displayed on my trading screen, but I do occasionally put them on, especially if I'm trying to work out what's driving a particular move, and quite often that comes down to a sudden increase or reduction in the volume of trades being undertaken. Please listen very carefully, as this is an extremely important point. For safety and flexibility, we need to keep our trade size or volume very, very small compared to the equity in our trading account. I'm going to say that again, and I would actually encourage you to write this down, but certainly get this inside your head. For safety and flexibility, we need to keep our trade size or volume very, very small compared to the equity in our trading account. Now, to put a definition on small, I use a trade volume of 0.0006 times the equity in my account. Therefore, if I had an account with £1,000 or $1,000 of equity, my trade volume would be 1000 times 0.0006 or 0.6. So in that volume box where we place the trades, I would actually be putting not 1, not 1.5, as you've seen in the example so far, but 0.6. And it's perfectly possible and reasonable to use less than 1 like that. Now, some trading platforms may have a minimum, and that minimum could be 0.5, for example. Some trading platforms go down as far as allowing you to use 0.1. Now, that is very, very small and very, very safe indeed. Probably for practical purposes, I wouldn't normally be going much less than 0.5. And that's what it would look like in the actual trading box, 0.60. We don't have to use all of our available volume for one single trade. So for example, if your available volume was 1.0, you could decide to use it on 2 trades and put 0.5 on each of them and run them at the same time. Again, just to emphasize the point, please be very frugal with your available volume. It's absolutely precious. We'll get there, and you can make a lot of money, but you don't have to rush at it like, as we would say in the UK, a bull at a gate. Far, far better to move towards it slowly, methodically, deliberately, and relentlessly than to rush in and fire all of your ammunition in one go and be out of the game.